the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're welcoming Jon Gruden back into their ring of honor. I think in 2021, when Jon Gruden got lynched and strung up by Roger Goodell and the media that Roger Goodell controls over emails that, private emails that he exchanged where he didn't speak in politically correct terms, called Roger Goodell the F word, said DeMaurice Smith, who was the executive director of the NFL Players Association, said he had big rubber lips. The guy does have big rubber lips. Everybody whined and cried, and Jon Gruden lost his job, was forced out with the Raiders, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took him out of their ring of honor. Well, now they've caught religion and believe in forgiveness. Let me read the Buccaneers statement. Jon Gruden was initially inducted into the Bucs Ring of Honor based on his many accomplishments during his 7 seasons as our head coach, and he remains a significant figure in the history of our franchise. Upon further reflection, we have decided to reinstate him in the Buccaneers Ring of Honor. Do we give Tampa credit here, or do we scold Tampa and own it? The Glazer family, I think, still owns the Buccaneers. Do we scold them for not sticking with Jon Gruden from the get-go?
A little bit, or maybe a lot of both. Here's my view of it. Let's say we had a hot tub time machine to 3 years ago, whenever this happened, right? And let's say the Buccaneers just never said anything. And no matter what anyone was protesting, if people had picket signs to get Jon Gruden's name off the side of the stadium or inside the railing of it, what would have really happened? Nothing. People would have just given up. It's like most modern day activism. People would have been enraged for about 10 minutes. Then they would have gotten bored. And then they would have found something else to get upset about. Now, I'm glad this happened, and I'm glad Jon Gruden, I believe, is going to graciously accept it. Because if he wants to go back into the National Football League and eventually coach again, I kind of feel as though this should be part of the, I don't know what to call it, the healing process. But yeah, I actually think the Glazers should have never done anything to begin with. I'm not a big fan of statues and monuments coming down. They're a part of our history. Nobody is perfect. When you start taking down statues of our founding fathers, I am vehemently against that in place of other individuals who I believe have brought no value to the United States. That should be looked upon as a very, very dark, demented time in American society, what happened in 2020 and 21. But I also have to say, and I hope I'm not being a hypocrite, I do give the Buccaneers organization credit for actually maybe backtracking and said, okay, maybe we overreacted. Let's go back to at least recognizing Jon Gruden.
Steve, here's why I give him no credit. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame had already established a precedent. O.J. Simpson has never been removed from Canton. If O.J. Simpson can be in Canton, Ohio, Jon Gruden should have stayed in the Ring of Honor. The Pro Football Hall of Fame, they set the standard. Like, hey, guys, and trust me, there's other guys in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that have written worse emails than Jon Gruden. And it never made sense to me. And I'm not recreating history. When Randy Moss, and I know he's got cancer and I feel sorry for him, and I have, honestly, I can legitimately say I've prayed for Randy Moss over his cancer diagnosis. But one of the most cowardly, despicable things I've ever seen, what he did on ESPN in real time, trying to get Jon Gruden eliminated over DeMaurice Smith and all this other phony racial crap they hit Jon Gruden with. Play the clip of Randy Moss. I just refresh everybody's memory.
We give guys these big contracts because they want to be able to lead 70 men, coaches, equipment staff, and managers to the number one goal, and that's to win a championship. And for us to be moving back and not forward in 21st century, like I said, man, National Football League, this hurts me. The clock is ticking, man. I'm sorry.
Bitcoin isn't going anywhere, so why not start stacking some today? The Fold app gives you Bitcoin rewards when you buy gift cards at Amazon, Uber, DoorDash, and Home Depot. Over 50 national merchants. Go to foldapp.com/Whitlock right now. New users get a Bitcoin bonus with their first gift card purchase. Start earning Bitcoin rewards today. Fold app. It's one of the most despicable. It's one of the most despicable things I've seen in the media. For a man that sat in football locker rooms since he was a little kid, all the way through college and the pros, and Jon Gruden, we were going backwards. DeMar Smith, he said DeMar Smith had rubber lips. The shit that gets said in the locker room and the stuff that Randy Moss has participated in inside of a locker room or with guys that hang out in a locker room, and then you strung up Jon Gruden. And again, as upset as I was then with Randy Moss, I was really upset with the media and all the cowards that wouldn't defend Jon Gruden. And because in real time, everybody should have figured, hey, man, this is bogus BS. This is this man's private emails. And say what the hell he wants in his private emails. The stuff that I say over texting and emails, or used to, I don't say much anymore. The stuff that I say in private, I make Jon Gruden look like a saint, and so do all of you. And it was the lack of courage among media members and Randy Moss and everybody that, all the former players that know what goes on in the locker room, what gets said in the locker room environment. And I was the only one to roast Randy Moss, and Randy Moss wanted to fight me. Remember, he tweeted out on site.
On site.
It's in one
Jason,
of the most
I've never understood this.
Yeah.
When Randy Moss said the clock is ticking, what clock? The play clock? The game clock? I've never understood what clock is ticking. And I have to give guys like Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp a lot of credit, because I believe they came out and actually defended Jon Gruden. Said, no, he used to use that all the time. It was just a term for like guys running their mouth too much. It was not like this. And then, given their stature and the fact that they are black men, they must have been called every name in the book, and you know which names. But they said, no, we know this guy. And in terms of the media, the white guilt was at an all-time. See, that was the real pandemic of 2020 and 21. White guilt. It was not that other thing. And it's really too bad there's no vaccine for that, because I still think there's a lot of white guilt in media. I think it's lessening now, but unfortunately, Jason, you know this is the truth. To work for certain media outlets, mostly mainstream, you have to have an abundance of it to either get employed or stay employed.
You're 1,000% right. And this was in the aftermath of George Floyd and all the Black Lives Matter stuff. But they owe Jon Gruden and a lot of people an apology. The NFL and Roger Goodell and Troy Vincent and the people that allowed this to go on, this crushing of people's reputation in their little political, because Jon Gruden actually was like the NFL's version of Donald Sterling. And it's not that I'm serious, it's not that I'm some Donald Sterling defender. But I said in real time, like, hey man, Donald Sterling talking to his mistress in private, we're actually gonna use this to take someone down? And I was just, all the mistresses that Magic Johnson had, all the mistresses that all these athletes have had, the stuff that guys say to their wives and or mistresses, and we're taking Donald Sterling down over a private conversation and him telling his girl, his mistress that he's paying for, his sugar baby, hey, I don't want you screwing around with them black dudes. Are you kidding me? You know how many black dudes have told some woman who they do and don't want them to be having sex with, or if you slept with this person? I mean, it's just so common. Men quit being men and started acting like little women, and every little word that comes out of another man's mouth cuts like a knife. It doesn't. It's a bunch of gays. Randy Moss and all, and again, I don't know who Randy, but he's acting like a gay person, overly sensitive. And they all need to repent. Anyway, I'm telling you, this was the issue I was most passionate about. Steve, I'm going to let you go. Don't miss a second of Fearless. Hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with our latest content.